If you believe every ghost story you've ever heard, then don't watch this video. The saying goes that you should never let the facts get in the way of a good story, and in this case that may be very close to the truth. Tonight, we're stepping inside the legend of the Myrtles Plantation, which is said to be one of America's most infamous haunted homes. But when you look past the whispers, the shadows, and the stories that have been told for generations, the truth may be stranger than the haunting itself. The Myrtles Plantation was built in 1796 along the moss-draped landscapes of southern Louisiana. It changed hands several times over the decades, eventually coming under the ownership of the Woodruff family in the early 19th century. Clark Woodruff was a Louisiana attorney and plantation owner who married into the family that owned the Myrtles Plantation. Life on the plantation reflected the harsh realities of the era: reliance on enslaved labor, outbreaks of deadly diseases like yellow fever, and rigid social hierarchies. Historical records show that multiple members of the Woodruff family died young, a fact that likely contributed to the later growth of ghost stories. Today, the plantation operates as a historic site and bed and breakfast, attracting visitors drawn to both its history and its reputation as one of America's most haunted homes. The most famous story connected to the Myrtles Plantation is the legend of Chloe, an enslaved woman said to have worked in the Woodruff household. Legend says she was caught eavesdropping on the family and had one of her ears cut off as punishment, which she allegedly concealed with a green turban. Stories claim Chloe baked a birthday cake laced with crushed oleander leaves, either as revenge or as a misguided attempt to care for the family. Tragically, the cake allegedly killed Mrs. Woodruff and two of her children. Chloe was reportedly hanged by other enslaved people in a display of loyalty to the family and thrown into the nearby Mississippi River. Since then, her spirit, wearing her green turban, is said to roam the plantation grounds. There are multiple versions of the Chloe narrative, and ghost tour guides often share these variations to heighten the mystery. Some sources claim Chloe used knowledge of voodoo or folk practices when mixing her poisons, something that fits the South Louisiana context of spiritual traditions and fear of the unknown. Others portray Chloe's relationship with Woodruff as consensual, while alternate tellings suggest abuse or coercion. In every retelling, though, the poisoning and her death remain central elements. There are also varied descriptions of what Chloe's ghost looks like. Some say she appears as a shadowy figure in a long dress. Others describe a woman whose turban glows faintly at dusk, and many accounts include her footsteps or sudden cold spots near the slave quarters and garden areas. Beyond the folklore, countless visitors and paranormal investigators have claimed experiences at the plantation. Some guests report hearing footsteps echo through hallways when no one is present. Others have felt sudden temperature drops or unexplained cold spots in the middle of warm Louisiana nights. In the grand foyer, an antique mirror near the staircase plays a starring role in ghost stories. Custom once dictated that mirrors be covered after a death in the home, but legend says a mirror in this house was overlooked, trapping the spirits within its glass. Visitors have claimed to see handprints that can't be wiped away, faces within the reflection, and even shadowy forms that appear and vanish when no one else is in the room. A few guests have shared photographs they believe show figures in period clothing or unexplained smudges that resemble faces. These reports continue to fuel interest and belief in a haunting that many feel is undeniably real. While skeptics point out that antique mirrors can oxidize, warp, and show odd reflections due to age, many guests leave convinced that this mirror holds more than just glass and wood, that it somehow reflects the spirits tied to Myrtles Plantation's history. But Chloe isn't the only spirit claimed by visitors. The ghost of William Drew Winter, an owner who was shot outside the home in 1871, is said to be tied to a staircase, reportedly collapsing on the 17th step where he died. Some witnesses claim to hear phantom footsteps climbing or descending those steps, ending abruptly at that number. There are also reports of childlike laughter and shadow figures believed to be the spirits of Woodruff children who died young from yellow fever, a deadly disease that ravaged Louisiana in the early 1800s. Others mention sudden smells, like cigar smoke, in hallways where no one is smoking, as well as unexplained bangs, disembodied voices, and objects that seem to move or appear without explanation. Even tales of a Confederate soldier pacing the grounds or a ballet dancer in period attire have been shared by guests and paranormal teams alike. These varied experiences show how rich and complex the folklore around the plantation has become, blending historic tragedy with personal eyewitness testimony. While ghost stories are compelling, historical evidence tells a different story. There is no record of an enslaved woman named Chloe, and the deaths attributed to her are documented as yellow fever fatalities. Despite the Myrtles Plantation's fame as a haunted site, research doesn't support the existence of any enslaved person named Chloe in any official plantation records, estate inventories, wills, or census data related to the Woodruff family. While it's true the Woodruffs did own enslaved people in the 1820s and 1830s, no records list a Chloe or Chloe by name. The deaths attributed to poisoning actually correspond to yellow fever epidemics of the time. After the deaths of his wife Sarah, Woodruff became a central figure in later legends surrounding the property, though historical records suggest many of the darker tales connected to him were likely exaggerated over time. Some later ghost stories portray him as harsh or vengeful, but there is no solid historical documentation proving he committed the dramatic or violent acts often attributed to him in plantation folklore. Another widely circulated image purportedly shows Chloe standing near the house. Paranormal enthusiasts see a figure resembling a woman in a green turban. Skeptics, however, note that the shape is ambiguous, lacks distinct features, and could easily be explained by shadows, lighting effects, or random shapes, a psychological phenomenon known as pareidolia. The most infamous photo, showing 3 children on the roof, has fueled debates for decades. While believers argue that the children appear in period clothing and stand impossibly still in ghostly form, skeptics point out several red flags. The lighting on the children does not match the house, the positioning defies physics, and the negative or print could have been manipulated during film development. That rumor persists, that someone, whether intentionally or by accident, inserted the figures during post-development, creating a classic hoax. Independent forensic verification of these photos has never confirmed their authenticity, leaving them firmly in the realm of legend and speculation. This illustrates a broader point. While visitors' experiences are real to them, and by no means are they to be dismissed out of hand, the tangible evidence of Chloe and the Roof Children is unverified and likely influenced by expectation, human perception, and the cultural desire for haunted legends. Documented accounts strongly suggest that Sarah Woodruff and her children died during that yellow fever epidemic in 1823, which was common and often deadly in Louisiana at that time. Yellow fever outbreaks frequently devastated families, especially in the Mississippi River region. Historical records indicate the Woodruffs actually had several children, but the two most commonly mentioned in the legend are Cornelia Gale Woodruff and James Woodruff. The Chloe legend and other haunting stories endure because they are memorable, marketable, and emotionally compelling. Haunted tours, overnight stays, and ghost-themed events draw visitors eager to experience the supernatural. Stories of murdered children, tragic servants, and ghostly figures amplify the plantation's allure. Even ambiguous images like the Chloe photo or the Roof Children photo continue to feed curiosity and debate online. Myrtles Plantation blends history and folklore in a way that appeals to both skeptics and believers, keeping the legend alive. Despite any exaggerations, conflicting legends, or questionable photographs associated with Myrtles, it would be premature to dismiss the idea that genuine paranormal experiences do occur there. Many historic locations accumulate folklore over time, but that doesn't automatically invalidate every unexplained report. Eyewitness accounts of cold spots, apparitions, and unexplained sounds continue into the modern era, suggesting that even if elements of the Chloe narrative were embellished, the atmosphere and recurring experiences at Myrtles Plantation may still leave room for the possibility that something unexplained lingers within its walls. The story of Myrtles Plantation is a powerful mix of real tragedy, folkloric embellishment, eyewitness testimony, and cultural fascination with the paranormal. At its core, this place reflects the darker chapters of American history, including disease, death, slavery, and loss, while also serving as fertile ground for ghost stories that capture our imagination. Some visitors and paranormal investigators swear the plantation is haunted by spirits like Chloe, William Winter, and others. Skeptics point to lack of historical evidence and psychological influences. Whatever you choose to believe, one thing remains certain. The legend of the Myrtles Plantation will continue to intrigue historians, paranormal enthusiasts, and documentary viewers for many more years to come. So what should we make of the Myrtles Plantation? A haunted house filled with restless spirits? Or a powerful example of how stories grow, evolve, and take on lives of their own over a period of time? Maybe the real story isn't why the house is haunted at all, but why certain stories refuse to disappear, no matter how closely we examine the facts. Now, no one is saying that the Myrtles Plantation isn't haunted at all, but when documents are examined and history is carefully traced, many chilling tales attached to haunted locations begin to take on the identity of folklore. And yet, places like the Myrtles and others still have a way of stirring the imagination. Old houses hold on to their past in ways that history books sometimes can't. And maybe that's why legends continue long after the facts have faded into the background. If you enjoy deep dives into paranormal cases, subscribe here for more true stories of hauntings, the supernatural, and unexplained phenomena. And in the meantime, remember, stay spooky.